At 80, I made a decision I thought was best for my future, but it turned out to be the biggest mistake of my life. At 80 years old, I realized something that pains me even to say out loud. Leaving my home was the worst decision I ever made. For years, friends and family insisted it was the most sensible choice, that I'd be safer, more comfortable, and better cared for if I moved out of my little house into something easier. At the time, it seemed logical. They had my best interests at heart, and I honestly believed them. I told myself, this is going to improve my life. But from the day I shut the door of my beloved home for the last time, a deep ache crept into my heart. The moment I arrived at my new Placey and assisted living facility, I was struck by how unsettling it all felt. The smells, the strict schedules, the staff shuffling around. None of it was bad, per se, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't home. I've spent months reflecting on that day and everything that's happened since. As I look back, 5 standout lessons I wish I'd known before I left. Please stay with me until the end, because my experiences might save you or a loved one from the regret that weighs me down now. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Independence is priceless. I never realized how much I took my independence for granted until the day it was gone. Before moving, I had my daily routines. Mornings meant brewing my favorite coffee, enjoying the sun streaming through the kitchen window, and deciding for myself how I'd spend the day, be it gardening, taking a walk, or chatting with a neighbor. All of that changed overnight. In assisted living, life revolved around the facility's clock. Mealtimes were fixed, and if I happened to sleep in, too bad I'd miss breakfast and have to wait until lunchtime. Suddenly, asking permission became part of my daily life. May I walk outside? May I take a bath now? Can I make a snack at 9 p.m.? Small freedoms I had always taken for granted slipped through my fingers. I remember the shock of wanting to go out for a quick stroll at sunset, but needing an aide to unlock the door and come along for safety. There was a sinking realization. The sense of ownership over my own life had vanished. Don't misunderstand me. I appreciate the staff's dedication. They do their best to keep everyone safe and comfortable. But that comfort comes with an invisible cost: your autonomy. Once you give it up, reclaiming it is far harder than you might think. If you're weighing the idea of leaving your home, consider carefully how much independence matters to you. Because once you've surrendered it, getting it back isn't as simple as packing a suitcase and heading home. I can't count the times I've thought, if only I had tried a bit harder to stay in my own house, maybe installed some rails or hired part-time help, then I could have avoided this entire situation. Think long and hard about whether you're truly ready to live by someone else's schedule. If you're not prepared for that trade-off, reconsider your decision before it's too late. Lesson 2. Familiar surroundings mean more than you think. I never expected to miss the old creaks of my house so intensely. Every scratch on the hardwood floor and every corner of my yard told a story, from my life-raising children, hosting holiday feasts, or simply reading in my favorite armchair by the window. Home felt alive. It held my memories and offered a sense of belonging that 4 fresh walls, no matter how modern or spotless, could never replicate. In my new living quarters, I tried putting up family photos and draping my old quilt on the bed. But the environment still felt hollow, a reminder I was no longer in my domain. There's something about the smell of your own house, the way the evening light hits your kitchen, the comfortable slump in your old cushies, a part of you. Stripped of these everyday comforts, I found an unsettling emptiness creeping in. I also underestimated how important familiarity is for mental and emotional well-being, especially as we age. Surrounded by the unknown, you can feel disoriented, out of place, and even anxious. Whenever I had visitors, a pang of homesickness would well up in me. It was as if I was longing to invite them into my real home, the place where I felt proud and content to be the host. Now, they were merely visitors in a space I didn't control. A friend of mine tried to cheer me up by saying, "At least you don't have to worry about maintenance anymore." But I realized that tasks like mowing the lawn or fixing a leaky faucet used to give me purpose and pride. Familiar surroundings are more than just bricks and mortar. They're the essence of your personal history. If you find joy in your environment and your routines, do everything you can to preserve that. Lesson 3. Purpose disappears faster than you imagine. Another thing I learned: when you move into a new, more managed environment, your sense of purpose can slip away almost before you notice. Before, I woke up each day with a mental list: water the plants, tidy the living room, maybe bake cookies for the neighborhood kids. My chores, though small, gave my life structure and meaning. But now, in a place designed to make things easier, I rarely had to do anything. Meals were prepared. Housekeeping staff came by like clockwork. Even my laundry was whisked away, cleaned, and returned without my lifting a finger. At first, I thought it might be nice to rest and let others handle the work, but I soon felt restless and then empty. The sense of, why am I even getting up today, loomed large. I saw this same struggle in other residents. People who had once been vibrant painters, gardeners, even small business owners, suddenly had every aspect of their routines handled for them. With so few tasks to perform, days blurred together into a monotony of scheduled meals and television reruns in common rooms. It reminded me how essential purpose is to mental health at any age. Without a reason to stay active, our minds and bodies can decline faster than we'd ever expect. When my daughter visited, I confided in her how meaningless my days felt. She suggested I join a knitting club or library hour the facility hosted. But these weren't things I was passionate about. They felt more like forced entertainment. True purpose springs from what you personally find meaningful. That could be volunteering, taking care of a pet, or simply maintaining your own home with pride. My advice? Don't part with the daily responsibilities that bring fulfillment if you can help it. Sometimes those chores are the glue that holds our sense of purpose together. Lesson 4. Physical decline accelerated for me. One aspect that took me by surprise was how quickly my body weakened once I was no longer responsible for daily physical tasks. In my old home, I had a small vegetable garden that kept me bending, digging, and harvesting. I walked to the local store for light shopping. I rarely sat around for hours at a stretch. Without realizing it, that daily movement kept my joints limber and my muscles strong. At the assisted living facility, convenience was everywhere: elevators, staff offering to handle errands, minimal distances to walk. If I wanted a snack, I pressed a button, and someone brought it right to my room. It was easy, yes, but it also eroded my motivation to move. Within months, I noticed climbing stairs felt harder. My legs were stiffer in the mornings, and I struggled to hoist myself from a chair without a little push on the armrests. I even asked the facility's physical therapist why my stamina was fading so quickly. He explained that while these facilities are meant to reduce burdens on older adults, the lack of regular activity can hasten physical decline. Muscles weaken with disuse. Balance suffers if you don't practice it daily. I tried to build a routine of morning stretches, but it wasn't the same as the organic movement I got when living in my own house and yard. So, if you have the ability to stay in your home, especially if it naturally keeps you more active, think long and hard before leaving it all behind. Convenience may sound wonderful, but it can rob you of the regular movement you need to maintain strength. Lesson 5. Going back isn't easy. This is perhaps the toughest lesson of all. Once you leave your home, returning isn't always straightforward. I learned this the hard way. Initially, I told myself, if I don't like it here, I can always go back. But reality proved far more complicated. My daughter had sold some of my furniture to make room in my new space. My old house needed upkeep bills, yard work, and small repairs piled up quickly after it sat empty. By the time I realized I wanted to return, the house was no longer the place I'd left behind. The cost and energy required to move back felt daunting. My family was reluctant to support the idea because they'd settled into the convenience of my being looked after by professionals. I met others in the facility who faced the same dilemma. Everyone thought leaving would be temporary, but once your home is unoccupied, it deteriorates. Some had even rented or sold their house to afford monthly fees here. Because finances, health, and emotional well-being become tangled together, going back isn't as simple as packing your bags. The fight for independence can feel uphill and exhausting, especially if your health has declined in the meantime. That's why I'm urging you. If you're even considering leaving your home, investigate every alternative first. Could you hire a part-time caregiver? Could you rely on meal delivery services or help from community programs? Could family members pitch in so you don't have to give up your personal space entirely? Weigh every possibility because the door you close may not open as easily as you expect. Looking back, I'm not resentful of my loved ones who encouraged me to leave. They cared about my safety and comfort. But I do regret not fighting harder to preserve my home and my independence. Had I known these lessons about how crucial independence, familiar surroundings, purposeful routines, daily physical activity, and the ability to return home truly are, I might have chosen differently. Now, I'm sharing this story with you because, at 80, I've realized life can take unexpected turns, and sometimes those choices we make in the name of ease come with hidden consequences. If you're on the fence, I hope my experience offers clarity. If you know someone struggling with a similar decision, share this message with them. Their future just might depend on hearing it. Remember, life in your later years is still your life and no one else's. Don't let fear or convenience push you to give up the independence and warmth of your home unless you're absolutely ready. Trust your instincts, explore all options, and hold tight to the freedoms and comforts you cherish most. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope you learned something valuable today. If you found this perspective helpful, let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Your journey matters, and I'm grateful to be part of it.